Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today I'm going to share a card with you that I made using some items that I got as a gift for my birthday. My birthday was on the 3rd, so my mother-in-law was super awesome, and she got me a couple of things from Simon Says Stamp. So she got me a set from Fawn that had both the dies and the stamps, and then the same thing from Pretty Pink Posh. And the Pretty Pink Posh set is the one that I am going to be using for the video today, and it is super stinking adorable. So to start off the card, I used a My Favorite Things background stamp that I am so in love with. I absolutely love this background stamp. It's just so pretty and elegant. You can use it for just about anything. And today I'm actually using it to kind of give like a winter swirly wind and flurries sort of vibe. So what I did is I stamped it first using the watermark ink, that Versamark clear embossing ink. And then now I am just using some Ranger white embossing powder to apply the embossing powder to the sticky ink, and then that allows me to be able to go ahead and heat emboss it using my heat tool. And I will have everything that I use in the video today linked below in the description box for you in case you have any questions or you want to check anything that I use out. So I went ahead and heat embossed that. I didn't show all of the time it took to heat emboss it because I figured you didn't want to just watch my heat tool move across the paper. But there it is, movie magic. It's all done, and now I am ready to move on to my distress ink. So what I'm doing is sort of the smooshing technique, I've heard it called by some people, but I'm just turning my ink pad over on my craft mat and smushing it around to get some ink on there, and then I take my Ranger mister, any little spray bottle will do. You just spritz it with the water so that it gets all those little beads, you see those, how they kind of appear, and then you get super rich pigmented color and some that's kind of faded, and since I use two different colors here, you get that awesome like kind of gradient effect in some of the areas, and it goes back and forth without really having to do any work. I absolutely loved the way that these two colors worked together. I don't know. I just thought it was super pretty. And then I am one to never let something go to waste. I didn't want to just waste all of that ink and just wipe it up with a baby wipe and throw it in the trash. So I just got another piece of cardstock that I had laying around, and I just literally swiped it through all of the inky grossness that was on my craft mat and picked up all of the ink. And then now I have this background that looks super abstract and, you know, looks like it took a lot of effort. I don't know. And then I can use that for another card, or even for the interior of this card if I wanted to. I could use it where I was going to write my note. Then I took my heat tool again and went ahead and directed some heat at those areas that had the most water. The reason that I did this is because I wanted that dark color to stay. And if you use your paper towel, it lifts some of that color. And I didn't want all of that dark color to go away. So I wanted to heat it with my heat tool first to kind of let it get into the paper some before I took that paper towel to kind of sop up some of the wetness. Then I turned it over and heated the back side, and you can kind of see it start to flatten out a little bit there. And there is my finished background. I love the way it turned out. Okay, so here is my set from Pretty Pink Posh. Look how adorable they are. They're so cute. So I decided that I wanted to use both of the little bundled up kids, the sentiment, the coffee cup, and the little bow. And then I colored them up, and when I got to the end of the card, I realized I didn't really have enough room for both of them. It just looked too cluttered. So I only ended up using the boy for this card, but I am actually going to use the little girl on another card. And when we get a little later in the video, I'll show you what part I'm going to use for her for a different card. You kind of get like a 2-for-1 background deal here. Okay, so I got out my mini Misty, and I am just going to ink those stamps up once I get them placed where I need them. You can kind of see me messing around with where they are. The reason that I'm doing this is just because I want to make sure that I have enough room for my die cuts to go around the images without running into each other and like messing up that little white border around the outside. So I was just trying to make sure that I had enough room. Okay, so the reason that I wanted to use my Misty for this is number one, I could stamp them all at the same time rather than having to switch them all on the acrylic block. And then number two, it was the first time I had used this stamp set. So sometimes when you first get a stamp set, it doesn't stamp that well the first few times. And so I like to have it on the Misty so that if it doesn't stamp that well, I can restamp it and it's in exactly the same space. I don't have to waste my paper if I mess up, which I'm really prone to do. I'm not good at stamping in the same place by myself, so this is a lifesaver. They actually stamped pretty well, but I did go ahead and do it one more time just to get a little bit more of a crisp image. And then I am ready to go ahead and move on to coloring them up. So I took some different Copic colors. These three that I'm using are just warm grays. So I use W5, W3, and W1 just to kind of get a softer look as you move toward the outside of her little hood on her jacket there. And I am experimenting with different ways to color so that hopefully you guys can see a little bit better. Always when I've done my videos before, my huge hands have been in the way and you can't really see anything that I'm doing. So you'll see I keep catching myself because the natural way for me to write is really so that my hand is right on top of what I'm writing. And I'm trying to kind of do it at an angle. So I keep flopping back and forth between the bad way and the hopefully better way, just because I kept realizing that I was doing it again and I was like, oh man. So I'm just doing basic coloring. There's nothing really, I mean, I'm not doing anything fancy at all. I just picked out some colors that I thought I would like, and then used a color that was close to it to kind of blend it out and give it sort of a little bit of a highlight. But because the images are fairly small, I wasn't really concerned about doing any crazy highlights. Then I did take a gel pen and make a couple little accents around her hood. I also did some around her boots. I accented the buttons on her jacket as well. I just wanted it to pop a little bit more, and it had kind of gotten a little bit dark with my coloring. So then I moved on to my little boy, and I colored up his scarf and his hat using the same colors that I had used for the little girl. And then I colored in, sorry, my head's in the way. I colored in his pants, and then I realized it looked like he wasn't wearing any pants, and that was not okay. So I was trying to go for khaki sort of look but that color was not the right color. It looked too close to the skin tone, and it looked like he wasn't wearing any pants. So I went with a darker color for that, and then I moved on to my coffee cup and the little bow. So there you can see I used some washi tape just to tape them down so they didn't move around while I put them through my Cuddle Bug. And then once I get them out of there, you see that the images just pop right out. The bow actually stuck to my cutting mat, but then you can just go ahead and take them out and they pop right out. So once those are all done and ready to go, I am able to go ahead and start trying to figure out what I want to do with my card. So while I was die cutting, I did also cut a couple other things. Here I was just trying to see, it was like way too dark. They didn't stand out enough or pop enough. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. So the next thing that I moved on and did is I got some of my die cuts that I had on hand, which is that Lawn Fawn border and the scalloped circle. And I went ahead and cut out a circle in the middle of my background. And then I cut the little town border and then cut it again with the same scalloped circle so that it had the same edge on the bottom, and it didn't, I don't know, I just didn't like the way it looked if it was layered with just like a plain circle. Anyway, that way it matched up and it was easy to put everything in the right place. So then I got a card base. It's just 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I glued my background with the cutout onto that paper and then glued a white scallop circle that I had cut into that blank space. I also glued the border down and got that all situated and ready to go. And then now it gives it a little scene rather than being so cluttered, and because that background is really busy and trying to put other things over top of it, I don't know, it kind of takes away from how pretty everything is. So I made a big boo-boo here, and I accidentally didn't clean my stamp before I started putting it on my beautiful white paper. And so you can see it's got that stamp there. And, you know, I kind of ruined my card with that because it's a little, you can see it on the card, but it wasn't enough that I wanted to give up and start over. And I certainly didn't want to have to cut another circle and the border and all of that. So I just went with it. Okay, so I tried for a while to get these two little guys to fit on this card, and it didn't work. Like I told you earlier, it was too cluttered and too busy, so I ended up only using the little boy, and I'm going to use the little girl for a different card. Basically, what I'm going to do is use the cutout circle that I had from this one, and put that on a white card base, and then I can put the little girl on there with it and a sentiment, and then I get two cards for one using this background basically. Here for the background, you'll notice that it went from white to blue. I just took 3 random Copic colors that I thought might look okay together, and I literally just scribbled all over the page in that little white cutout, and then went over it again with the lighter color, and then I added some darker accents, and it kind of looks like a windy, blustery day. I don't know, sort of to me, maybe not. You guys can tell me. But I thought it turned out okay. And then I added some accents with my gel pen to make it look like it was snowing. And then I went ahead and glued my little dude down to the card front, and that completes the card. So I don't know. I was pretty happy with the way that it turned out all in all. I had a couple mistakes, but that's okay. And you can see there I was going to get my gel pen out and do some more. I had wanted to add some accents to the roof to make it look like the snow was sitting on it, but I thought I was just going to ruin it, so I left well enough alone. I hope you guys loved this card. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And as always, be sure to let me know if there's anything that you guys want to see in future videos, and I'll be sure to make a note of it so that I can keep you guys coming back for more. Thanks so much for watching again, and have a great day.